Before I knew it, the time had passed by, and I could see the sunset. I told my daughter it was time to G the sea. At that moment, I didn't have a goo about everything that was going to. My husband Bill and my mother-in-law Lily's luggage was gone. Then, I heard the sound of a boat going forward with its engines roaring. What? To my surprise, Bill had got on the left me and my daughter by the sea.
Hey, why are you leaving us?
Swam up to the boat in panic, thought it was a small boat. I could reach it, and there was a possibility that I hurt if I tried to reach for the book.
It's not like we're related by anyway, so this should be fine.
When I got close to the boat, I suddenly heard Bill saying that, and I was shocked. Then Lily looked out from the boat while laughing.
Ha! Look at that dumb face.
And then the boat left me and my daughter behind. My name is Lauren, and I am a 32-year-old stay-at-home wife. I live with my husband, Bill, and our 7-year-old daughter, Jessica. Jessica works hard at everything she does, including sports and practicing piano daily. She's been playing since she was 5 years old. Jessica is really cute, and she is my treasure. My life with Jessica is full of happiness, but things were not going so well. Bill and I met about 10 years ago. I joined the company as a new employee. Bill was 2 years my senior. We became close when my husband took on the role of my trainer during my out. I was attracted to him because he was hardworking and was patiently teaching me the job, and we naturally got into a romantic relationship and began dating. After 2 years of dating, they got married. We had a great time as newlyweds. Bill took very good care of me and that he loved me dearly. When Jessica was born, he said she looked like an angel and loved her so much. Because Bill loved her so much, I thought if Jessica said she would marry him in the future, he might faint or something. However, when Jessica was about 6, Bill's attitude suddenly changed. He became very cold toward me and so caring about our daughter. I couldn't understand why. He wouldn't talk to me and wouldn't talk to Jessica anymore. After about a month of this, I reached my limit and questioned Bill.
Hey, why are you so distant from me, Jessica, lately? Did I do something to offend you? I don't know what's causing you to do this, and it's really bothering me.
I think I shouted something like that to Bill. That's how confused I was about the change in Bill's attitude. Then Bill calmly says this.
Because that child is not mine.
What?
I couldn't understand what he meant. Jessica is truly our child.
What are you talking about? Jessica is definitely your daughter.
I told him that, but he wouldn't listen to me.
Because she doesn't look like me at no.
That's not true. She is only 2 years old now, so it's hard to tell, but I'm sure that her resemblance to you will become more apparent in the future.
No, you're wrong. I won't be fooled. She has green eyes. Plus, her eyes are pretty big.
Huh?
I have blue eyes, so there's no way have a beautiful baby with green eye this.
My husband's shallow reasoning left state of shock.
No, I mean, look at me. I have green eyes. So that means she has the same eyes as me.
When I said that, Bill looked slightly convinced, but perhaps his pride wouldn't allow him to agree with me.
You're probably trying to deceive me by saying that.
That's not true. You really have to believe me.
Eventually, Bill asked for some time about it and went back to his pair at that time. At that time, I remember that I begged, questioned his thoughts, and began to him. I wondered if we could build a proper relationship together as parents, let alone a marriage. After returning to his parents' house, it seemed like Bill had explained everything from his perspective. So little me and my mother cursed him, saying, "You slut." After that, my in-laws and I had a meal at their house, and we decided to test the theory once and for all. Bill says, even if we don't do the obvious, and I know that she's not my type, but when I insisted on having the tea, He reluctantly agreed. After the test, it turned out that also Bill's child. My husband looked at me unconvinced. You're kidding, right? Because Pete shouted at him, I came to his senses.
Lauren, I'm sorry I doubted you. I don't know what's come over me.
Bill bowed his head and apologized, so I forgave him for now. I knew some people would have gone through a divorce at that point, but I had been a stay-at-home wife when I got married and was making enough money, and I felt bad. 2-year-old was only. Besides, after all, I had married at having fallen in love properly and wanted to just get a divorce right away. However, I would later regret that have divorced Bill at that time. Thus, I continued my married life with him, but there was an awkwardness between us. Still, little by little, we began to more and more, and we began to feel married couple for the time being. However, Bill didn't seem to be able up to Jessica. When I say, come on, Bill, play with me, he says, oh, yeah? He would play with Jessica for a little while, but then he would immediately say, mothers are better for this. In the end, Bill hardly ever played with Jessica as she grew up. When Jessica was about 5 years old, very curious and interested in many, she read a lot of books and often asked me questions when she didn't understand something. One day, she asked me about history, thought Bill, who was very good at history, would be the better person, so I told her that she should ask him. Then, Jessica ran to Bill and asked question. I went out of my way to help improve relations between Bill and Jessie, but she turned me away by saying, you better not ask your mother. Jessica got confused and asked, well, should I ask? I went over to Bill and said, hey, are you asking me something? You should pay more attention to her. To this, Bill says, you're there for that kind of thing. So if you're there to do that, then there's no need for me. Was indeed appalled to hear him say that. I wondered why he was so reluctant time with Jessica. Jessica also seemed a little lonely. She was not being cared for by her. I tried to find a way to make our Faye closer, but Bill would not make time family. Jessica is working hard at piano and studying, partly because she is a worker, but also because she wants to pay attention to her. My frustration with Bill grew. At night, I took out my frustration on.
That's enough. Why are you trying to avoid Jessica? She's trying so hard to get along. Father, you haven't even come to her piano, not once.
Even when I get angry with Bill, I'm trying to get him to do something he doesn't want to do. Then Bill just says, I'm letting her do whatever she wants, so I'm fulfilling my role as a father.
You're too cold to your own daughter.
When I told him that, he said, I do if she really is my child.
What? What the hell are you talking about? We had the DNA test.
Even though I said that, Bill, still unconvinced, and just went back to it. How on earth could I get Bill to change his mind? While I was worried about this, suddenly he said, let's go on a trip with the whole family. He suggested that the 5 of us, including my in-laws, should go on the trip together. I was happy to hear that. Bill was finally making time for his and I. Jessica would now be able to make memories with her own father. When we arrived there, Bill told me he had booked a boat and took me and my friend to the port. It was a small but magnificent boat, which could not help but look forward to the head as we pushed the boat forward into the sea. My daughter also looked at the boat, bright smile. Bill also has a boat driving license, so he decided to take the boat to a nearby island today. My father-in-law, Pete, wanted to buy something and to visit his friend who was living in Hawaii, so he didn't join us on the trip. Thus, Jessica, Bill, Lily, and I decided to go to the deserted island. When we arrived to the deserted island, it was very beautiful. Jessica was very impressed. Bill had also prepared snorkeling equipment, and at first, He was happily diving into the water on his own. Then, after a little while, he invited Jessica and me to dive in with him, using my gear. We had both dived a few times before. It was Jessica's first time, so by carefully teaching her. Seeing her like that made me very Bill was finally becoming more like. Jessica also seemed happy to have her own father teach her, and soon enough, she was getting into it. Bill said, "I'm going to take a break." Got out of the water, so I watched my daughter to make sure she didn't go in and enjoyed diving under the waves. I told my daughter it was time to G the sea. At that moment, I didn't have a good about everything that was to happen. My husband, Bill, and my mother-in-law, Lily, had their luggage stolen. Then I heard the sound of a boat go forward with its engines roaring.
What?
To my surprise, Bill had got on the left, me and my daughter by the sea. I swam up to the boat in a panic, but though it was a small boat, I couldn't reach it. And there was a possibility that I hurt if I tried to reach for the boat.
It's not like we're related by blood anyway, so this should be fine.
When I got close to the boat, I pseudo heard Bill saying that, and Bill looks at me with disdain. I quickly returned to the island and to Jessica. Jessica looked terrified.
Were we stranded here?
I hugged Jessica, who was about to rub my back, telling her it would be all right. But it's hopeless to be stranded on a deserted island. Fortunately, I had portable food in which would last at least a day or not for a long period of time. Maybe someone would notice about us. With Jessica being there, I was able my cool. Let's warm up for now. We could catch a cold since we were from snorkeling in the water. I wiped Jessica's hair and body thoroughly with the towel I had brought and dressed her in a clean nightgown. And together, we brought a number 1 tree branches and gathered dead leaves. Make a fire. I was glad I had brought a lighter for something. As I lit the fire with the lighter, gradually spread to the dead leaves branches. In this way, we managed to warm ours. But what if help never came? I couldn't shake the feeling of anxiety. It was at that time. About 2 hours after Bill left us, boat came towards us. I stood up hastily, waved my hands, shouting help repeatedly. The boat stopped near us, and our boat went over to them.
Are you okay?
He called out to us and motioned for get on the boat. The man was a staff member of the boat hire company that lent the boat to Bill. While we were on the boat, the man explained. The man said that when Bill returned to him, Bill and Lily had left him, and right after he suddenly thought of a number of people who had returned. That made him worry, which is why he came over to the island to check. I was so relieved that I burst into tears. Jessica was sleeping in my arms, probably because she was exhausted from fear. We made it safely back to the island where our hotel was located, and after that, Jessica headed back to the hotel. When I got to the hotel, I met Pete Lobby.
Oh, Lauren, aren't you with my son?
Pete came over to see me, but when I looked up, he immediately realized that something was wrong.
Let's sit over there in the lounge.
He said as we sat down. He listened to what I had to say. I told him that today we were left and that Bill has been cold towards for some time. After listening to me, Pete bowed and apologized to me. He told me that he would never forgive Bill and Lily for what they did to us. When I think about it, Pete was the one who always tried to confirm what Bill suspected about Jessica. And Pete always loved his grandchildren. He was my only ally. Pete says, let's teach them a lesson. I agreed and went with him to the front of the hotel. Fortunately, Bill and Lily hadn't gone to the hotel yet, as they were probably having dinner somewhere. Since I was the one who made the rest to the hotel, I canceled my stay. Now Bill and Lily wouldn't be able here. Pete was planning to stay at his friend's place, who lives around here, and he would wait for us at the hotel to tell us. So, Pete said, Lauren, you should meet my friend. He introduced us to Ian and took Jessica and me to his house. His friend also had his wife, and they both welcomed us at their place. By then, Jessica had awakened to find herself eating a home-cooked meal prepared by her host family. Then I got a call that Bill and Lily caught by the police. This is because they had made a big deal about not being able to check in at the hotel. The front desk rushed to report the incident to the police, who arrived at the hotel quickly, shouting angrily, "We have a reservation!" Bill and Lily probably protested because they didn't want to be taken advantage of by being obediently following the police instructions. You'd be arrested. They asked Pete and I's help, but was sick. I told the police that the two had left Jessica and me on a deserted island. The police also took a statement from staff who loaned the boat as evidence. As a result, Bill and Lily were both guilty of a crime and were in quite a difficult situation. My husband panicked and hired a lawyer, but he had to pay a large fee and lost thousands of dollars in legal fees. Moreover, they were in jail for several months until they were released on bail. Both Bill and Lily were physically and emotionally exhausted. It's a great feeling to get back to this, because if the boat staff hadn't CC'd us at that time, Jessica and I would have been in much worse trouble. Jessica and I returned home, ahead, one others, packed our belongings, and was six to my parents' house. Then, I confronted Bill, who returned after us with divorce papers through his lawyer, and also demanded alimony for the emotional distress he had caused me. At that time, I asked him why he did what he did and why he didn't pay any attention to his own daughter. According to the lawyer, Bill told had suddenly lost all love for our once he suspected that she was not, was appalled and shocked to hear that a man had been shot dead in his own home. Even though a proper DNA test had been done, he still couldn't believe that Jess was his own child. I regretted a little that I had separated Jessica from such a horrible way earlier. Bill was left with paying alimony and child support to me after the divorce, which left him in debt. Furthermore, I reported this incident to my former boss, who still works for the company, so Bill's disgusting behavior quickly spread throughout the company, and he was identified as the guy who left his wife and child to die. It seems like he is feeling very ashamed of himself. He's now in debt, so he can't really work, and the stress is getting to him. And Pete divorced Lily because of incident. Lily, who had been living with Pete, was thrown out of the house without warning, and she panicked and asked Bill for help. But he refused, saying that he couldn't afford it, now living in a rundown apartment while working a part-time job. Meanwhile, I got a new job, rented apartment just big enough for the two started living with Jessica. Jessica doesn't even consider Bill as her dad any longer, and she gives all her love and affection to me. She practices on the piano every day, things like, "I'm going to win the competition for you, Mommy. I'm going to work hard and earn money, Jessica, who is so lovely and kind, what she loves with all my power."
Leaving them on a deserted island is definitely a crime. I think Bill and Lily should be in, but I am so glad that Pete was a decent guy. I hope Lauren will continue to be her daughter, Jessica.
Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. See you in our next video.